Okay. Okay. So I guess this is... I have no idea. It's basically like a visual novel horror game based off of H.P. Lovecraft. It's 61 Fahrenheit. That is definitely not cold. But you know what? I had a similar issue today where like walking around the entire day, I was fucking freezing. I was freezing cold. I'm bumping that down quite a bit, and I'll bump it up like on the stream. Bump it up. Bump it up a little bit. You're shivering so much that your metal bed frame is groaning. Oof. Well, the good news, hey, there is good news here. I'm gonna scare some heat into your body. Also, camera sensitivity, we're gonna bump that down just to like 60. Save and exit. And let's see. About Dagon. Also, it already has DLCs, but I think, when did this come out? When did Dagon come out? Let's see. When did this release? So Dagon released on the 24th of September. So the game is 6 or 7 days old. And it's got overwhelmingly positive reviews. It's supposed to be quite atmospheric. And I'm kind of hyped for it. I'm kind of excited. So I guess without further ado, let's just let's get right into it. I made that joke already, I think, today. Dagon is a faithful, interactive adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's work focused on story and atmosphere. You will not find difficult choices, action sequences, or inventory management here, and movement is limited to progressing through locations along with the plot. So basically what it's saying is it really is like a visual novel. Pretty linear, but hey, I'm okay with that. We're here for the atmosphere, baby.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
Okay. I was waiting for it to progress, so. During the game, you will encounter interactive elements. Some of them will allow you to continue your journey. Others reveal interesting facts about the original short story, its historical background, and the author. Just don't try to figure out his cat's name, I guess. Some of the trivia is hidden. In order to find these secrets, focus your eyes and look for the Elder Sign. You can also access all the found facts later. They will be available in the main menu. All right. I like that. But wait, did it give me a key?
Penniless.
Okay, it just wants me to click.
Supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable. I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below.
Okay, he's a little bummed out, but I don't think that's necessary, bro.
Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate.
Okay, my bad.
When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
So it wants me to click that, but is there something else I can click here? No. Okay.
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
So it wants me to click that.
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation. So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners. So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time.
Og? That's all I have to say. Og?
When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings.
Ooh. Now this is fucking creepy. This is like my worst nightmare. Just this view. You hear that? I swear I just heard something, but let's keep going.
Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator. Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
Game's already got good atmosphere.
Fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
Where am I clicking? Where is it? So when I go all the way to the left, it sends me back around to the right. Got it. You did notice a few days ago, though, and every day since your lips have been blue. Water! Uh-oh.
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue. The change happened whilst I slept.
What change?
Its details I shall never know.
What do you mean?
For my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
I don't like this. What the fuck? Oh, I'm on land, right?
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see.
Also, I like that message. Like, we have this intense scenery in front of us. And it's just like your cat sticking his nose into your glasses of liquid. That's the imagery I have in my head now.
And in which my boat lay grounded some distance away. Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished. For there was in the air and in the rotting soil a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core.
What the fuck is that? That crab thing. You turn, you hear a gross noise, and the guy had his head in it, drinking it. Gross.
The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish, and of other, less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain.
By the way, is chat working? I feel like I haven't seen it show up on the screen. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Nowhere to be seen before that. He did it with the milk the other day, too. Just kill him. That's a joke, sorry.
Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity. There was nothing within hearing, and nothing in sight, save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear. The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting
Somebody's
the
got their
inky marsh
vibrator
beneath
on.
my feet.
This guy wanks using a dictionary. Yeah, sorry. I'm fucking distracted by a million things. I picked up my phone to look at it. I like got buzzing behind me. Let's focus on the game. We gotta focus, boys. Oh, the boat. Okay.
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position.
Oh my god. What the hell? They're fucking like working on the apartment below me. They literally, the whole like time that I was sitting here getting ready to stream, not a sound. The moment my stream comes on, they're fucking wham, 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 bam, 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 bam. Like, leave me alone.
Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths.
So they can hear me screaming, probably? I hope so. They deserve it.
So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might. Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
Oh, wow. This guy's very observant. Ooh, fish.
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens.
What the fuck? There's one above me? Am I the only one seeing that? That's what you're like? You hope your neighbors hear you sing and talk to yourself and hope they think you're dangerously freakish.
As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time. That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
This is fucking very creepy so far. Oh, it wants me to click the pack.
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease.
I think what's more creepy about this is the fact that, like, there's no movement. Like, I can't move at all. And I can only look in certain ways. So it's like, I don't know, it adds to the creepiness.
The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal. All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
Oh my god, this looks like Duke. Straight feces. Absolute poop. I'm pretty sure this is what my toilet's gonna look like later. Like this exactly. I'm just going to peer inside. The only thing you think is weird is the landscape has changed radically. And you have no idea what happened what has happened anywhere else. That too. That too. What the fuck?
That night, I encamped, and on the following day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
Where does it want me to click? Oh, sorry. It doesn't give you the option to click anywhere until you've already clicked through the dialogue.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance. An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill.
For some reason, I feel like this is the last place I would want to sleep.
I know not why my dreams were so wild that night, but ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain, I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more.
Where'd the mountain go?
Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again. And in the glow of the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day. Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy. Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
Damn, okay.
I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me. But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon, whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine. I felt myself on the edge of the world, peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night. Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost, and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined. Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent, whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
God, this has gotten really creepy. I don't really have much to add either.
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath, gazing into the Stygian deeps where no light had yet penetrated. All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me. An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
I also think I'm gonna vom. I'm gonna shit my pants too.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself.
Oh yeah, no, just a gigantic piece of stone out in the middle of a deep, dark abyss when you were just in the ocean that you can no longer find. Yeah, no. What was I thinking? That creepy? Say less.
But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature. A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express.
Well, that's good.
For despite its enormous magnitude and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith, whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures. Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
I don't know about this, Chief. I don't know about this. Oh yeah, just get closer. No, that's great. We're cool.
The moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm, and revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
Wouldn't it be funny? Because these look like thumbprints and stuff like that. If you just got close to it and there was just a big like ball imprint. If you've ever put your balls on like your phone or like a piece of glass, you know what I'm talking about? I don't know, I think that would be pretty funny.
The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books, consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world.
There it is right there in the middle. That's exactly what it looks like. When you just like slap it down, you're maybe a little greasy from like going to work or whatever that day. Exactly that right there.
But whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain. It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
Secret Pog! Dagon contains many themes and storytelling methods that Lovecraft developed in his later works, such as telling the story through carvings at the Mountains of Madness, the Nameless City, journals and characters' notes, the Shadow Out of Time, the Haunter of the Dark, islands emerging from the ocean, the Call of Cthulhu, or fictional beings and deities based on real events and mythologies. Migo in The Whisper in Darkness. It's also considered the origin of the popular Cthulhu mythos. Some of Lovecraft's other stories also conclude in a manner similar to Dagon, but let's skip the details in order not to spoil the ending. Okay, thank you.
Plainly visible across the intervening water on account of their enormous size were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a Doré. I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men, though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto, or paying homage at some monolithic shrine which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail, for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint.
God, this is fucking
Grotesque beyond the
cool.
imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer. They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips.
The art in this game is so fucking good.
Glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background. For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself.
Oh my god. Can you imagine if you're just fucking in the ocean and that fucking thing comes out of nowhere? Bro.
I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size, but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe. Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
Oh, you can zoom? Oh, that's a game changer, actually. Surely, no more secrets here? Alright, cool.
awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist. I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it.
What did you...
With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters.
Oh!
Polyphemus-like and loathsome, it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, the while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds. I think I went mad then. Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
God, I hope he brought a change of pants, because I certainly did not. I am not a fan of that. I'll be on my
I sang
way.
a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing. I have indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat. At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods.
Okay, damn. Damn is right.
When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital. Brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing, nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
Oh, secret. Oh, more reading, Pog! Lovecraft was a prominent figure in the world of amateur journalism in 1915. He started publishing his own journal called The Conservative, which included political and social commentary, poetry, short stories, and literary criticism written by him and other authors. Howard was a skilled wordsmith, but he also took criticism to heart, which resulted in his decision to step away from writing poetry and concentrate on weird fiction again for the first time since his teenage years. Dagon, published in 1917, is one of the short stories written during that period. In this excerpt from The Conservative, the master of horror fiction... I can't read today, I'm sorry. The master of horror fiction explains his attitude towards warfare and the idea of world peace. Why any sane human being can believe in the possibility of universal peace is more than the conservative can fathom. Should the entire civilized world agree simultaneously to disarm, one or more nations would undoubtedly retain secret armaments, and at the proper time take advantage of their more altruistic and less astute contemporaries in a wild career of conquest against the unarmed victims. No country is or ever can be above warfare until the basic impulses of the human animal shall have miraculously changed. That's crazy. Okay, well, thank you for the secret, Mr. H.P. Lovecraft. Any more secrets, or are we tapped out? Okay. Well, let's continue the story then.
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist.
Okay. Dagon was the main deity of the Philistines, worshipped throughout the Middle East as the ancient god of fertility and crops. In Hebrew, the word Dagan was a common noun for grain. The rulers of Akkad, Mesopotamia, I'm sorry, that word gave me a hard time. Mesopotamia chose him as the patron saint of their war conquests. He also appeared as a judge of the dead in an Assyrian poem and an underworld prison warder in one of the Babylonian texts. He is often mistakenly taken for a fish god due to the wrong interpretation of his name, as in Hebrew the word dag means fish. In H.P. Lovecraft's works, Dagon is an underwater deity ruling over the deep ones, a humanoid race with fish traits that reside in the oceans. He is worshipped by a secret cult called the Esoteric Order of Dagon. By the way, Dagon, there's actually a really good movie made. I don't recall if I've ever read the original Dagon. And I'm not sure if the movie is based off of it, because it feels a little dissimilar so far. Feels a little closer to the other fish-based story. But anyways, let's move on. All right.
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
Y'all see that? That's the Necronomicon, baby. There it is. I can't believe I spotted that before it was a secret. August Derleth and the Cthulhu Mythos. August Derleth was an American writer and anthologist. He also befriended Lovecraft and published many of his works throughout his company, Arkham House. Although he greatly contributed to the popularization of the author's works after his death, he is surrounded by numerous controversies. One of his most questionable decisions involved introducing the good versus evil doctrine. Derleth was a devout Catholic to the Cthulhu mythos, which contrasted with Lovecraft's view of the world and his approach to cosmic horror. As a result, the author's works are often misunderstood and misrepresented in today's culture. It is also worth noting that Lovecraft was never really interested in creating a mythology, and the term Cthulhu mythos was coined by Derleth after the author left the mortal plane. All right. Well, that's interesting. Anything else? I know it wants me to... It wants me to progress somehow. How do you want me to progress here, bud? You got me, like, facing... Oh, it's right here. It just didn't want me to turn around at that angle, I guess. Alright. What the fuck are those sounds? Oh, cool. There's that. I hope I can find all the secrets.
It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing. I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave. So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
Okay, well, rest in peace, Rip Bozo. You know, all that. Oh! Lovecraft hated tobacco, even though he used to smoke when he was 12 in order to look and feel like an adult. In his correspondence with his friend Reinhard Kleiner, he claims that he quit as soon as he started wearing long pants. He also had a very strong opinion about alcohol, as evidenced by his letter to Zela Brown, dated 13th February 1928. As for the matter of drinking, I have never tasted intoxicating liquor and never intend to. Having a strong aesthetic disgusts me. Aesthetic? Or having a strong aesthetic disgust at anything which blunts or coarsens the delicate natural equipoise of the evolved human intellect and imagination. Drinking excited my personal repugnance. Hence, I don't drink. Let the herd do what they will. I am rather in favor of prohibition. The prohibition of any one antisocial force as well as any other. Source: The Spirit of Revision, Lovecraft's letters to Zayla Brown, Reed Bishop, H.P. Lovecraft, Sean Branney, and Andrew Lemon, St. Joshi. Okay. All right, suicide time. Let's go. Let's fucking go.
I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm. A mere freak of fever as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat after my escape from the German man of war. This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed.
Don't do this to me. I will scream.
Worshipping their ancient stone idols.
No!
Carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
I don't like things in the water. God damn it. Please don't do this. Also, you're gonna have me click this? Like, hello? All right. Yeah, okay.
The end is near.
Pog. Any Easter eggs? Oh, I didn't even click the thing.
I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it.
Not today. I bet there's more secrets here. Where are they? Where are the secrets at? Alright, whatever.
It shall not find me.
I think it's gonna find you, homie.
God, that hand! The window! The window!
To the walls! To the walls! To the sweat drip down my balls! What do you mean you can't win? I think he just did. Oh! That's the end of Dagon. Pog. It wasn't very long, but that was a good intense experience. I know they got some DLC here. Thank you for playing. We hope you enjoyed immersing yourself in our little pool of cosmic horror. We would appreciate it if you took a moment to rate Dagon and check out our other